Good evening, friends, followers, channel members. Welcome to a fly-by-wire test flight tonight. We haven't done one for so long, so really looking forward to this. Take your life in your own hands getting on one of these flights, but it's all good fun. So the idea behind this particular test is to check out the new cabin pressurisation, which for a while hasn't really worked. It's not perfect yet, it's sort of the first stage in getting that working, so it's really nice to see the continued development of this aircraft. And yeah, we can have a little bit of fun, particularly as we're not flying so much real ops. We'll do our best. We'll obviously try and maintain a high level of professionalism throughout, but I can't guarantee that's all going to be the case. So really going to enjoy doing this, and we are in America. We're in Sacramento now. For those of you familiar with the channel will know that my knowledge, or rather my geographical knowledge of the United States is pretty poor, which makes landing at Bull's Head, which is where we're headed, it could be even more challenging. Lots and lots of terrain around that. It's also a RNAV approach as well, no ILS to help us, so it's going to be interesting, and we're rather a large aircraft to get into there. That said, 737s can land there, so we shouldn't be having any trouble. HD, good good evening. It'll be very professional. Is that a promise? So welcome, Hyacinth, Wayne, Simon, Rutherford Music, Dark Fury as well, and Christian Starmer. Great to see you all on board. Well, we should probably start setting up, and we're going to let some very unlucky passengers on board as well. HD, it's the Atlantic. Yeah, no, that's over to the west, isn't it? You're never going to let me forget that. Oh, and why should you? So, first thing I should also probably mention as well is this is a handcrafted airport, available free from flightsim.to. Looks very nice actually. I've only had a very quick look around, but yeah, as we can see, we'll ignore the A320 Swiss and Aer Lingus there, shall we? That's not very realistic. I believe this is in development, this airport, but again, hats off to any developer that creates stuff like this. I think they're doing the Microsoft Flight Simulator world a great service. So HD, new pressurization, don't turn the packs back on after takeoff, see if the ECAM message pops up. Now I do know that not all ECAM messages are working at the moment, so the cabin pressurization page at the moment, well I'll tell you what, hang on one sec, let me have a quick look. Let's see. So what shouldn't be working? So basically this is the first block for the implementation of the A320NX pressurization system using different coding. But the auto pressurization of the cabin should be pretty accurate, but none of the overhead panel button behavior has yet been simulated, nor have ECAM warning responses. So HD, there's your answer to that. So that will come, as I say, this is just the sort of start of everything. But what we shouldn't get is a landing elevation of, I think, it was always set to -2,000, wasn't it, originally? That's now changed, I hope, if it's all working correctly. So, let's get back on board. Flypad is turned on, let's get that connected. We can check a few things, HD. I'm happy to test anything, see what's working, see what's not. And I think this is sort of, as I say, this is the first step in getting it to that level of accuracy that fly-by-wire teams strive for. So QNH here in Sacramento is 1012, and the operational flight plan should be already in the chat for you guys if you're watching this on YouTube. Let's let's just have a quick look at that operational flight plan. See what the weather is doing in Bull's Head, I think this is called, the airport we're heading to. There it is. Oh, there we go. No wind. Perfect. Runway of choice for landing. I believe it's runway 16 actually we're coming on. 10-mile visibility, or statute mile visibility. High clouds. 33 degrees, 2982. Altimeter. Okay, so nothing too concerning just there. Visibility looks to be dropping down, I think, to around 6 miles, but that's still going to allow us to get in. Inuk on Facebook, hello from Greenland. Oh, fantastic! I don't think we've ever had a viewer from Greenland before. Jenny, so yeah, the altimeter should be in US. You are quite right. I think it's because you have it set in the settings page, so it's actually set to auto. So what it should do is it should probably display it, shouldn't it, in millibars. If I do that, does that change? Oh, maybe not. I'm going to pop that back to auto and leave that. Brian, hello, and Wayne and Oki, good to see you guys joining us. Right, well, anyway. Oh, fuel, that's that's what I essentially went on there for. What are we loading? So if I take, what's that, plan block of 5, 7, so if I take 6, 6, that should be fine. So let's go ahead and get that defueled, because once again I forgot to defuel the aircraft. Did I say 6, 6? I meant 6, 5. I can now actually type in here. For anyone that's not aware, since this version of the FlyByWire's tablet was released, version 2, I now no longer need to pop the tablet out. I can actually type in anything on the screen, and it's not connected to any key binding you have set up in your simulator, so you won't be jumping into your mode or anything like that. So that's quite nice. Okay, real time, and there we go, defueling. Ground power unit, I think, is already in place. There it is. So just check battery voltage. That's fine. We'll get those batteries on. External power connected. Crew oxygen supply on. Ground control CRV test. Yes, I use both SimBrief and Navigraph. Ah, we've actually got cabin sounds. That's good. If you weren't here, the flight we did from on Monday, where was that from? That was from Doha. We had no engine sounds, which was pretty rubbish. Right, I'll leave the fuel pumps off for the time being. We'll do the engine fire test. We still don't get the clicks to let us know that we can do that. Engine 1. Engine 2. And the APU is all set. Okay, all done. Let's come down and pop that QNH 1012. I can't see. There we go, 1012. Is that turned up to full brightness? HC, turn the extract off. Does it go quiet? Where's that? You'd have to give me directions to that one. Clock and skids fine. Now, we are not on VATSIM. We're never on VATSIM for test flights, just because I don't know if anything's going to go wrong, so we don't worry about that. That's all okay. Everything looks grand there. That's turned off. That's turned off. There we go. That's all set. Let's come up to the glare. Above the first officer's wiper switch. Nope. Doesn't go quiet at all. Oh well. That has changed 10, but I'm going to use 1012. I'll flick it back. Now we've set that. Flight directors 1 and 2 are on. That's all we need down there. Let's get the primary flight display, navigation display, and ECAMs turned up. Refueling in process, no portable devices. And I'm going to turn off the first officer's displays, save those frame rates. IRS is aligned. Check the ECAM status, that's all good as well. Right, passengers. Okay, so passengers are now boarding. J-Hog, good evening. Not seen you for a while. Has she let you out? Alright, so let's then have a look again at the information from SimBrief. I don't actually know if this turns up or down. The dim and brightness doesn't seem to change very much. ATSU, AOC, and Init Press. Flight time today 1 hour 11 minutes. Sacramento to Bull's Head. Back to the AOC, performance, weight, and balance. We ignore the fuel page. Okay, what was our payload? 16432. That matches up with the OFP. 158 unlucky passengers on this test flight today. Zero fuel weight 57.4 and zero fuel weight centre of gravity. Well, let's play with that a little bit. Load the aircraft slightly different to perfect. There we go. Check the gross weight as we hit the load button. All set. And now we can come to the data page. So IRS, we've got 3 nav greens all set. Aircraft status, correct engines, LEAP engines, still an out-of-date ARAC cycle, never mind. That will probably not get updated now until the 27th when the next big update comes. Okay, let's get our route and everything from headquarters. So the alternate tonight is that Phoenix Sky Harbor, FlyByWire 5159 test, cost index of 21, cruise flight level is flight level 390 minus 52. Oh, that matches as well. Hyacinth, did you board an unlucky flight? Potentially. Okay, so to the flight plan. Departure today, runway 17 right. Operational flight plan says 17 left, but 17 right is actually in use in the current world. That's going to be the Suctoon 3. Transition via Raleigh tonight. And insert. Now then, the arrival into Bull's Head is the RNAV 16. Now there are no stars available, no VIAs. Oh, is there a VIA? Is that via Lindsay? I think that is. Is it via Lindsay? Let's have a look at that chart. Oh, yeah. Initial approach fix is indeed Lindsay. Via Lindsay. And insert. Chris, good evening. I received your email today and I slapped myself for forgetting, so I will sort that for you out, Chris, tomorrow, I promise. 1 hour 6 minutes, 445 miles. I've got 454 miles, so a slight difference there, but that's okay. Onto the RadNav page then. There's our departure ILS frequency plumbed in, and do we need anything else? Sacramento got a VOR on tap. Usually, if you go to the approach page, it'll give you something, if there is one. It might not have. The Sacramento VOR is not actually on, but we'll pop that in there in case anything goes wrong. We can use that as somewhere to hold if we need to. It's the missed approach fix anyway. So SAC. And so it's 15 miles away actually. Handy to see. Init B page, 0 fuel weight is 57.4, 0 fuel weight centre of gravity 31.2. That's loaded. The trip wind is a slight tailwind of 7. Fuel planning 4.8 tons, and we've got 6.5. Takeoff weight then of 63.7. The alternate fuel is 1.6. And that means on board we should have an extra 48 minutes flying time, just in case anything goes wrong. So over to the performance then. Transition altitude, of course, here in the US of A is 18,000 feet. Thrust reduction and acceleration, from what I can gather, is noise abatement 2, which is actually closer to 1030. Flaps 1 for departure, and of course we'll be using toga. V2 135, VR 131, and V1 is 130. Any speed restrictions on that departure? Let's have a quick look. Nope. So left hand turn after 540. Okay, all that looks good. So what I'm going to do now is jump on and have a look at the pressurization page. So it's showing a elevation now of 666 feet. The airport elevation is it 100 and sorry, no, I think it's 28 feet. Let me just double check that. 27 feet. 27 feet. So what we're checking on the flight throughout, so I may leave this page open throughout the flight. Apologies to HT. What we're going to do is basically we're going to set up a flight plan, select the destination runway as well, because it is going to target this the destination elevation as we come in to land. Of course, we need to make sure that during all stages of the flight the cabin pressure doesn't go above 8,000 feet or around about there, and that the cabin differential pressure is not greater than 8.06. And then when we're landing, of course, check the cabin pressure is equal to the ambient pressure. So that's going to be an important page throughout this flight today. Okay, passengers still getting on board. Let's check the let's check how we're going to do the taxi and departure. Leads over here to the V-speed seem very low. No, not at all. I mean, it's not a massively long runway, to be fair. Here, what is it? It's only 2,621 meters. So we still need time to stop if anything does go wrong. Right, so we are parked at stand Bravo 22 just here. We're going to push back and we'll taxi north on Yankee. From Yankee we are going to then taxi on Alpha, and we're going to hold at Alpha 3. HD is 666 the arrival elevation. Let's see, what is the elevation of our arrival airport? Well, it's actually 707, so it's much closer to what we are now. Would I be correct in thinking it should be showing what the temperature actually is now, or does it plan the arrival whilst here on the ground at the departure airport? That doesn't seem to make sense to me if that is what's happening. So there we go, that's how we're going to do the taxi. We're going to depart full length Alpha 3, and then departure straightforward, a left hand turn when above 540 feet, and we're climbing straight out to Raleigh, and it's an initial climb to flight level 190. Of course it is landing elevation. It says landing elevation, doesn't it? Duh. Okay, yeah, landing elevation. I didn't know if it told you the elevation. I'm thinking back to the what do you call it? The CRJ. Yeah, yeah. So it's landing elevation, not the departure elevation. Shame you don't have a figure here telling you what the cabin pressure actually is all the way through the flight. Is that even displayed anywhere, HD? Or should it be displayed? Okay, well that's all set up. What we need to do now is select our initial climb altitude, flight level 190. GD, good evening. You noticed last night on the FlyByWire experimental version the switching panel is active. Has it always been active? Yes, it has, but don't fly the experimental version. It's very behind the times. It's not being updated. So stick with the stick with the dev version. Okay, just looking at that departure, that looks fine. That all looks good. So we've done our departure briefing, emergency briefing. We could probably skip that for this test flight, particularly as ATC is not online anyway. But just a reminder, if anything goes wrong after V1, then we have to continue to get the aircraft in the air. If it's an engine failure, then we'll fly at 12.5 degrees pitch following the SRS, and I'll use the rudder to counteract any yaw. Once the aircraft has a positive rate of climb, we'll get the gear up. I can trim out the yaw, then we can put autopilot on. Now, I have no idea whether this is a standard or non-standard engine out procedure. Looking at the terrain around me, I would probably not want to continue on the SID because there's a lot of terrain there, so I'd pull the heading bug and we'll go to that holding point which we've already spoken about. But there we go. Hopefully that's not going to happen. But it's a test flight. Anything could happen. So we've got 15 passengers remaining. All of the fuel is now boarded. Let me close the SD page down. So let's get the seatbelt signs on. Let's get the APU started. 1, 2, 3. And that's up and running. So guys, if you are new to the channel, good evening. We've also got live traffic on as well, just for the fun of it. So any aircraft that you do see moving is live traffic. That concerns me slightly, seeing that aircraft go that way, because I'm pretty certain that's not the runway in use for departure. We're going to be taking off on the opposite runway to that. Yeah, there's our departure runway, and that's pretty much our taxi route. Thank goodness it's not a real ops flight. And everybody is now on board. So let's close the door and jetway can disappear. APU is available. APU bleed on. External power can come off. Seatbelt signs, and then we're ready to do our before start checklist. Okay, so let me lock that flight deck door. So cockpit preparation is all completed. Signs are on and auto. Our ideas 3.5 green. Fuel quantity is checked and balanced. FMGS is coded and correct. Altimeter is 2989. So we've done all our briefings, at which point we'd now get our pushback clearance from ATC. I'm not using ATC because I don't like default ATC. So we'll call the pushback mod. HDMI no smoking sign has changed to a no portable devices sign because, well, I'm different. The seatbelt signs are on though. You're right though, if I'd left that there, they would both be on, but it still remains. The tug is now connected. Is the tug connected? Have we got a tug? Oh, here he comes.
Cabin crew, what about ready for flags if you use our little alarm cross check? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking, and on behalf of the FlyByWire development team, I'd like to welcome you on board this FlyByWire test flight in the Airbus A320NX. Today, we're going to be testing out some new systems, so I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. A reminder that this version of the Airbus is not yet available for download. All of the new systems will shortly be merged into the developer build and the upcoming experimental version. For now, please listen to your cabin crew, get yourselves sat seated with your seatbelts securely fastened, and as the ground crew finish loading the last of your luggage into the aircraft, we look forward to a safe, smooth departure, and we hope you enjoy your flight. Once again, on behalf of the FlyByWire team, thank you very much for choosing to fly with us today, and we look forward to delivering you a safe journey.
Okay, before that checklist, below the line. Windows and doors are closed and armed. Rotating beacon light is on. Mobile phone is on silent. Parking brake is also on. Okay, let's remove that and let's start pushing back. Okay, back we go. Let's get those engines started. Engine mode select to ignition and starting engine 1. So let's just see how we're handling this pushback. We're pushing back straight. Oh yeah. Push back straight, tail to the right. And then there's our taxi out. Barry, hello. You're currently in the air yourself. From Brussels to Berg. Where's that?
Your seatbelt should be fastened wherever the fasten seatbelt sign is illuminated. To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal tip into the buckle until you hear it click. To change the length of the belt, adjust the strap. To open the buckle, lift the metal flap. All emergency exits are clearly marked. Take a moment now to locate the exit nearest you. Emergency exit lights are located near the floor in each aisle to assist you to an exit.
Oh, you're off to Reykjavik. See, I never go to Reykjavik. I always go to Keflavik, which I believe is one and the same place. But it's a different airport.
In an emergency, flight attendants will inflate slides.
Starting engine 2.
In the event of an evacuation, move quickly to the exit nearest you and jump into the slide. Leave all luggage behind. After you reach the bottom of the slide, move immediately away from the airplane. Our cabin pressure is controlled for your comfort. If a change in pressurization occurs, oxygen masks will automatically drop from the small compartment above your seat.
Simon, this is indeed real weather, yes.
Control cigarettes. Remain in your seat and pull the nearest mask to your face until the pin is released.
G-Mark, how far away from VNAV and LNAV on the fly-by-wire do I think? I honestly can't tell you. The problem is a lot of the developers have sadly had to go back to their real jobs. Now the pandemic is slowly ending. Or rather it's being more controlled. I don't know if I can say if it's ending. Hi Sid, you used to get cabin pressurization warnings if you were flying high and you opened the cabin door, for example. Yeah, you used to get that. Engine number 2 is stabilized. Engine mode selected to ignition. APU bleed off, ground control off, APU masters off, anti-ice not required. Spoilers. Would you like to remain armed? Okay, I'm fighting with that. That might be me. Hang on. You're not going to play ball with me today, are you? Right. Okay. Let's... There we go. So, spoilers armed. Rudder. Flaps 1. Set the trim. Okay, engines 2 as I say is stabilised, and we've got the tug well and truly out of the way. While I'm sat here, we're going to do a flight control test. So full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral rudder, full right, rudder, full left, and neutral. Okay, let's get the taxi light on. And we'll release the parking brake and start to head out. Oh, tell you what, shall I put the weather... I'll put it to 1, not to 2. After start checklist. Should have done that before moving, but anti-ice is off. Econ status has been checked. Pitch trim is 31.2 and rudder set 0. So I'm just seeing quite a few questions being fired at the moment. I will come back and answer them unless somebody else answers them for me before then. Just want to crack on and get this test flight underway.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Oh, that's new. I've not heard that sound before. Have they changed the PA mod or made it a bit more random? I've got a male steward as the head of the cabin crew. That's different. Anyway, quick departure briefing then. QNH is the same, altimeter is the same, still going to be a Toga takeoff, that's not changed. Engine out procedure, we're going to go standard engine out procedure. We don't want to fly the SID, we'll pull the heading bug and we'll get out at 12.5 degrees pitch to the Sacramento VOR holding point. And departure matches what we have on the FMGC. Stop altitude is flight level 190. When did the new voice announcements come in though? Is it random or is it the same guy every time? That'd be kind of cool if it was random. You got a different one each time. Before takeoff checklist, flight controls have checked. Departure briefing confirmed. Flap setting config 1. FMA takeoff data 130 blue, 135 magenta. Climb nav blue 19,000 blue. That's going to be a flight level by the time we get there. 1FD2 and Toga. Transponder is set, ECAM memo takeoff, no blue, electronic flight bag is stowed. Crumpage, you've had it since the version 2 update. Well, that's interesting because I still had the old one, but still with the version 2 update, so that's strange. This is interesting. Okay, so this isn't going to be terribly realistic, but I am going to be taking off into traffic. I know for a fact, check flight radar 24. In fact, that's a good idea. I'm just going to check that because I'm quite interested to see. If I go to Sacramento on FR24, what are they using? Quick look. I'm looking at aircraft landing, Sacramento, and yeah, they're definitely taking off and landing on 17 right. Ah, well, never mind. We're just going to take off into traffic. Well, that'll be interesting. I wonder if TCAS will scream at us. Before takeoff checklist. Cabin is secured. Engine mode selected to norm. TCAS TARA packs off. I can now see the traffic on TCAS. That wasn't the best taxi out onto the runway, but never mind. Alright. So if all passengers would kindly close their eyes as we depart and just ignore any other aircraft you may see out of your window. Okay, takeoff. Start the chrono. 50% N1. Engine stable. Set takeoff thrust. Mantoga, SRS runway. Oh! I've just made an aircraft go around. Did you all see the shadow? Oh well, he should be using the right runway, shouldn't he? That's kind of cool. We've passed V1. Rotate. Nav. So we're not going to turn left yet. We're going to wait until we pass 540 feet. There we go. Now we can begin that left turn. Lower that nose as we start to accelerate away. And thrust climb. Climb. Autopilot 1 engaged. And you know what? Let's just go to the pressure page. And we're getting a differential, which is nice. Packs 1 and 2 showing off. Let's get pack 1 on then. S speed. So flaps 0. Ground spoilers disarmed. Now, I did clock someone on the chat a little bit earlier saying that Sacramento was their home airport, so I hope this looks semi-realistic. We'll leave pack 2 off and see what happens, HD. Go on then. When should that start pinging us? It's about 14,000 feet, something like that. If we get an ECAM reminder. Set standard pressure. So as I say, I'm going to keep the cabin pressurization page open. We're going to see what this looks like. Was it 3,500 feet we should get the NECAM telling us? Sadly that's not happened. Not yet. 7,000 feet. There's going to be an aircraft straight on our flight path but below us. There we go, we can just see him. So which airport is that then? It's not the one we departed from.
As we climb towards our cruising altitude today on this fly-by-wire test flight, please take a moment to fill out the complimentary wool-making kit. You'll find this in the pocket of the seat in front of you. Once again, we thank you for being passengers on board this special test flight and promise you that the drinks trolley shall be around shortly. If you have any special requests for today's flight, please contact a member of our cabin crew. You may now also switch back on your electronic devices. However, a reminder that this is a test flight, and so you do so at your own risk. Thank you.
So we've now passed 10,000 feet. Turn off the devices sign. Turn off the lights. Airport on the ECAMs. Clear the RadNav page out. And check. Oh, right, okay, so we can't go up to our actual planned cruise just yet, so let's go 370 instead. So, set 370, 370 blue. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's pop pack 2 back on, then it's not going to work. So what is working now though is none of these used to move. Get the terrain button off. Shouldn't have that now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has now turned off the seatbelt sign and you are now free to move around the cabin. We do recommend, however, when in your seat, that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times in case of unexpected turbulence. The toilets are now available. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
So HD, the 3 dial should have, what, you mean numeric indications? Because otherwise you are kind of just guessing slightly, aren't you? So we don't want this to go above 8, is that correct? We don't want that to go above 8. Cabin altitude not above 8,000. So again, we're guessing that's sort of around here, I think. Michael, you are correct. Transition altitude in the USA is flight level 180. However, we are climbing to flight level 370, which is why we have standard set. So far, so good. .2 psi is when the safety valves blow. Yeah, I bet that's not modelled. So guys, whilst we're just in this cruise stage of the flight, if you haven't done so already, could I ask that you consider giving a like to the stream. Hit the like button for me. It really does help with the algorithms on YouTube, Facebook, everything like that. So big thanks to those of you that have done all that already. And of course it's free. So lots of terrain now as we start to climb out. So for about 25 minutes or so, the Mora is above 10,000 feet. And that begins at Raleigh. Is it Raleigh, the next waypoint? Yeah, so nice direct to waypoint. One of the longest SIDs I've ever seen. HD, I don't think they do, but if you want to give us a test to do, I'm happy to do it, just to see. Just past 22,000 feet now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to commence serving our alcoholic drink service throughout the cabin. Please make sure your tray tables are in the downward position and clear any bags or items from the aisles. As this is a test flight, all alcoholic beverages are being served free of charge as a thank you for putting your lives in our hands today. Please note that the alcoholic drink service is not available to under 18s. Soft drinks will instead be offered. Thank you.
Michael Williams says this can't be California because nothing is on fire. No, it looks very green, doesn't it? Very nice and green on our departure today. I bet we're going to get some turbulence now as we start heading over the higher terrain. So HD, if we press the master push button and put it into manual and then back to auto, it should swap over the CPCs. We've got system 2 in charge at the moment. Which master push button, HD? Give us a schematic. Is that over on the... Is that above the first officer's head? Hang on. Let me move across. The jump seats. Are we here? So landing elevation at the moment is set to auto. I'm looking for a push button which says master. I can't see that. I can see the manual, I can see the cabin press mode selector. Alright, okay, so if we press that, hang on, let me just, before I do that, let me come down here, let me right alt click that. There, we can now hopefully all see the lower ECAM. So if we push it to man, so that does change, so that's now manual. And then if we go and turn it back to auto, I'm still using system 2. So that should have flicked over then to system 1. Okay, the basis is there, isn't it? It obviously did say what it was doing. At the moment, we're just watching this. Make sure that doesn't go above 8. Make sure this doesn't go above 8,000. HD, turn a pack off. Go on then. Hang on. Let me just bring that back in there, as we can't see both at the same time. So if we turn off, let's turn off pack 1. So pack 1 comes off, and that's obviously displayed now in amber. Yeah, the pack triangle does go to amber, so that works. If we turned off pack 1 and pack 2, the cabin altitude should increase, should it not? I mean, the passengers at the moment are being plied with alcohol, so they don't care. Here comes the turbulence. Here comes the screams. Okay, let's check that out. So if we turn off pack 1 and we turn off pack 2, let's see if the cabin altitude increases. So there we go. You'll just have to hold your breath for a bit, guys. Not sure how quick that would move if it was going to do it. I'd presume it would be faster than this though. We're still climbing. You can see we're just passing 31,500 feet. I love that phrase, the rubber jungle. Yeah, and the vertical speed would obviously have changed, so I don't think that's not modelled yet. GD, the rubber jungle is, you know, the oxygen masks from above your head in the cabin, when they all drop down. That's the rubber jungle. Okay, well they're not going to work, but let me pop those back on. At some point we need to brief the approach as well. We've got a bit of time yet, but the approach isn't straightforward. I thought if we're doing a test flight we might as well have a bit of fun whilst we're doing it. Let's just see if we can get up to our cruise of 390 just yet. No, not quite. Try the blower and extract push buttons, see if they work. Oh, hang on. Is that up above here again? So if we turn off the blower and extract. I can't see anything yet modelled on there. Leonardo, hello from Mexico. Good to have you on board, my friend. Press the ditching push button. First of all, let's open the guard. And should that not shut everything down and seal the aircraft up? I'm guessing once you've actually pressed the ditching, you can't... well, in the real world you wouldn't be able to fix that again. Or can you? Not that it's modelled anyway. Oh well, never mind. As I said right at the start, today's test is the very first start of all of this page coming to life, and we've got the landing elevation set as well, which is nice. Far better than seeing minus 2,000 for every flight. I do like flying over America though. I think it's got some fantastic landscape. And the fact that it's already been given a sim update as well really does help. It's going to get a second one, isn't it? Next year, 2022, it's going to get a another sim update, which is hardly surprising given how vast the area is. Oh, there we go. Now we can go to flight level 390. We've just got Mac Alt Star actually. Let's go a couple more. Thrust climb. Back to that. So in the descent brief, then HD, that's something now we can add in the landing elevation checked. Be quite nice to watch that page as we're descending. You guys can watch that. I'm going to be far too busy with the approach. So we'll get up to the cruising altitude. I'll just do a fuel check, make sure everything's fine there. It should be for a relatively short flight. I'm going to step out of the cabin and grab a cold drink because it's blooming warm in here. Yeah, HT, that's not something I ever thought of. You always think of depressurization, don't you? Depressurization sort of at 20,000 feet rather than on the ground. So HT says that there's a pretty nasty outcome that can happen if the cabin is over pressurized. Unlikely to happen when it's in auto, but if there's a dual CPC failure, you need to be aware that the cabin needs depressurizing on the ground. Don't let anybody touch the doors until it's done. Yeah, or bang. Mac Alt Star. GD, you wonder if flying with VATSIM or similar, would it be possible to approach with an airliner in a typhoon? I don't know. Alt cruise? What's quite sad about that HT, as HT just says, if you open door and the differential pressure was high, the door would fly open and throw anyone that's been holding on to it 40 feet out of the cabin. Sadly, I'm guessing at some point a lesson was learned, and it's probably happened in the past. Barney, anyone having problems copying liveries into the in the commuter folder you get in the area that the path is too long? I've certainly not had that. Gary says, hello, I am Ryan. Well, there's a confusing opening statement. Well, there we go. Look, cabin altitude is now what I would guess to be about 8,000 feet, and the differential pressure is below 8, so that's okay. Fly with DK, hello to you. Lots of traffic on TCAS. This is looking much more realistic. Now, I don't often fly with live traffic, but that's looking really good. Matthew, good evening, sir. Hope you're well. Matthew, the RJ, you mean the CRJ, don't you? Not the Avro liner. The CRJ has an outflow valve tied into the weight on the wheel switch to prevent that happening. That's good. Good engineering. Okay, so at Raleigh, let's just zoom in on here. 23 minutes into the flight. Dum dum dum. 23 minutes bang on. What fuel should we have? What did we load extra? I can't remember now. We went with 6.5, so that was about 8. So we should have about a ton extra then, shouldn't we? So let's have a quick check of that. 3.7, have we got about 4.7? Oh, we've burned about 300 kilograms more. That's okay. HC, you've had it in the sim. Wow. Okay guys, as I said, now we're at cruise. I'm just going to go and get a cold drink. HD, can I control the cabin VS? I don't know, I've not tried. Hang on. So in order to do that, let me just get this up again. So to do that, we need to go into manual, presumably, and then if we set that to down. Presumably that's a press and hold then, because I'm having to press and hold that. I'm not seeing any VS change. So no, I don't think that works. I would have expected to see some movement on the VS needle in the middle of the cabin pressure page if that was working. It seems to be rather stationary there, doesn't it? Oh well. Interestingly enough, does landing elevation auto alter? Oh! Yes, it does. Oh, that's modelled. Let's turn that back off, shall we? There we go. That was nice to see. Okay guys, as I said, I'm just going to nip to the fridge, get a nice cold drink, and I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to brief this arrival, which is not straightforward. Okay guys, so I'm back with you after stepping out the office door and falling over the boy's skateboard. I keep telling him not to leave that there. So I've just come back seeing Matthew saying one of the favourite things to point out to the FAs on the trip is that the aircraft is not airtight and actually leaks air from a number of places, including the sink that's drained straight out of the bottom of the aircraft. I'm presuming the water doesn't do the same, right? So this arrival, let's have a quick look at this. So we're going to be doing a RNAV approach to runway 16 at Bullhead City, Arizona. So we come in via Lindsay and the initial approach fix Lakey. Lakey we want to be 6,600 feet, so nice and level before Lakey, 6,600 feet. Want to have slowed down as well, as we've got only 11.3 miles to get down to 3, so we need to leave 3,300 feet in 11 miles. So We want to be nice and slow for that. And then at Mebdi, 3-degree descent path, hopefully down to the runway. Now, minimum descent altitude is going to be 1,860 feet. HD, don't pee in the sink. I guess water at that altitude, it's just going to evaporate out, isn't it? It's not going to cause a problem. Pee-pee, on the other hand, well... LNAV minimums only. What does that mean? Well, presumably it would mean that we wouldn't be doing a track FPA approach. It would be final approach mode if that was available to us. We'll see if that's right in a moment. Sadly, of course, the approach mode is not available to us, and we will have to use nav FPA. Or unless, have I got it the wrong way around? Would we be able to do final approach mode? Or would it have to be nav FPA? Oh, it's a 50-50. See, if you've been given VNAV minimums, then I would presume that you would be able to do FPA. I think I've got this backwards though, haven't I? I'm guessing we wouldn't be able to do final approach. But then it's a GPS approach. No, I'll stick with my guns. Which is probably wrong. So I would say you would be able to do FPA. Oh, so the fact that they're not even showing any VNAV minimums on it. So there's no VNAV minimums. Either way. What I want to check as well is, let me just jump in here. I want to see how this approach has been coded. Look at all the traffic on TCAS. So we're going from waypoint Jeddah direct to Lindsay. So HD, because it's not LNAV and VNAV, final approach is not approved to be used. Well, that's good, because this aircraft doesn't do it. Now, Jeddah to Lindsay is just a direct, if we just bring the chart up for that. Now, this is where we need to be careful. with regards to terrain. There's Jeddah, which then brings us to Lindsay, and minimum grids look to be... why is that one missing? It's got too much information in the way, hasn't it? But as we come in here, minimum's 9.7. That one's very high, isn't it? Wolfsman, no, we're not on VATSIM. Not for a test flight. But essentially, what we're looking for is we want to be 6,600 feet. Probably not far from Lindsay, so I'm going to get that in there. Just pop that back on. So how are we spelling that? L-Y-N-S-Y. 146 miles away currently. And what are we at? We actually got up to 50390, didn't we? So we're going to look at starting that descent so we can start slowing down as well. Probably around 100 and... call it 110, 115 miles away. HD, I like that. Door seals are usually pretty good, but they're not 100% perfect. You often hear the odd squeal or hissing from an older door. Sus, S-U-S, hello, hope you're well. So not long before we head down now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to serve a selection of food and snacks from the galley. Please ensure your tray tables are in the down position and that the aisles are kept clear. Due to the nature of this test flight, sick bags have also been provided for you in the pockets of the seats in front of you. Here, you'll also find a snack menu showing the food items that are on offer. Please keep any litter you may have and our cabin crew will be around shortly afterwards to collect it. Thank you.
HD, you occasionally get an ECAM message with one of the doors open at 38,000 feet. That's got to be a brown pants moment, doesn't it? And funnily enough, it's just a caution, not a warning. I'd consider that rather rather an essential warning. Flightman 100, so I use something called self-loading cargo to get that, but just be aware it is not visible in the simulator, only for streaming. It's an overlay. So as I say, this approach coming in, there is terrain to the left, terrain to the right, so it should make for some nice views. HD, how do you know if you've not gone blue or not? Because your consciousness is compromised. What is going to be interesting is to see how this aircraft flies the approach. Let's just check it's coded, actually. Should probably have done that a bit ago. So, Jeddah, there's Lindsay, there's Lakey. Next should be Mebdi. After that, after Mebdi, it's runway 16. Spot on. HD, yeah, if you're still making sense after 20 seconds, you're good. Oh, wrong button. Okay, so I actually want to start heading down now. So I'm going to set a relatively safe altitude to descend to. Let's go down to 18,000. Thrust idle open descent, 18 blue, 180 blue rather. Ooh. I didn't see that when we were climbing. Did anybody else? That's nice to see. I need to get this weather information plumbed in. I can't read the... Ah! That's a pain. Right, I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. Which is, I'm just going to have to scribble some information down. In the real world, of course, I'd be able to pick up the paper and move it. So what is it? It's 240 at 6, 2987. Temperature is 30 degrees. QNH 29.87. Temperature 30, wind 240 at 6. Transition altitude, of course, 18,000 feet, and our minimum descent is going to be 1860. Okay, that's all set, and obviously on our way down. What else do I need to know? What was that QNH? I want to write that down. Normally I can just look at the piece of paper, but it's shining in the light and I can't see it. $2987, was it? Oh balls, I've written down the wrong METAR. Let me update that. It's 220 at 5. I've put in our departure airport. 2977. Why did no one pick me up on that I was reading out the wrong information? 41 degrees. Ouch. Right, let's try again. 2977. 41 degrees. Ouch, ouch, indeed. 2205. There we go. HD, that's Fahrenheit. I sincerely hope not. So now direct to Jeddah, and the more is 144. It's a fair point actually, because that is a real live METAR, isn't it? So could be. We're nicely below profile, so that's good. I'm going to head through this cloud bank and get the ice on. Barry, it's currently 109 Fahrenheit over there. Yeah, well, I thought in the middle of Arizona it wasn't going to be it wasn't going to be 40 degrees F. What's that? It's about 2 degrees C, isn't it? Something like that. So I hope everybody watching has enjoyed the flight so far. Please do hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Chumi, good evening. Definitely going to get that terrain radar on. Okay, so a little bit more housekeeping then. Weather and land information is obtained. FMGC is checked and coded. Landing elevation is 646. 646. I'm going to go auto brake medium actually. The runway length is... where's the runway length? 8,501 feet. Strangely enough, it's not giving it me in meters. Anybody got Google on their phone? Chalty, have you been a member for 5 months? Wow, well done. Thank you very much for that continued support. I think we can turn the cabin temperature down because it's I think it's set by default to 24, isn't it? So we did say it was going to be a nice scenic arrival. That is if the cloud shifts. Missed approach altitude as well as 6,300 feet. And just so you guys can see the missed approach, it's essentially climb to 6,300 feet to Kala and hold. So... IMC at the moment. Thankfully, it's starting to break. HD used to carry $10,000 on you in cash when you did the African charters. What was that for? Okay, let's now continue down and set the local pressure of 2977. Thrust idle open descent 15,000 blue. Landing fees and bribe money. Flying carpet. Cabin pressure is doing nicely. So we're doing well. We've got about 10,000 feet to go. And we're on our way down. And at Lindsay I say we want to be 6,600, don't we? Or thereabouts. We need to be 6,600 at Lakey. Breaking out those clouds now looks rather beautiful, doesn't it? Speed Alt Star. Let's continue that descent down. We'll set 7,000 for now. Thrust idle open descent 7,000 blue. Nabil, thanks for that spot. 2977. And anti-ice, now we're through that, most certainly not required. Okay, let's get the portable devices and seatbelt signs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign.
Approach checklist. Minimums set.
Seatbelt is securely fastened.
Engine mode select
With an infant,
to norm. Electronic flyback is stowed. We've briefed our
the toilet
descent
will now go out of use until the fasten
and
seatbelt
approach.
sign is turned on. Please contact a member of the cabin crew if you require assistance. Thank you.
And we're now going to get our speed down. Don't want to be making this approach at this speed, do we? So let's just continue that descent, coming down, and let's roll that back. GD, thanks for stopping by, my friend. I shall see you again very soon, I hope. I have absolutely no idea where we are, by the way, but it looks beautiful. I really do like flying in America. I think some of the scenery here is spectacular. And look, there's an airport every few feet. It's insane in America, it really is. If I was to ever have an dual engine failure anywhere in the world, I'd want it to be in America. And if all else fails, the roads are usually rather straight. So thrust idle open descent. Now we're going to set 6,600 blue. Look at the way the colour of the entire simulator is changing as we're dropping through these different cloud layers. Anyone know where this area is, by the way? Someone grab Google Maps up. Promote, is that Vegas on the left? Was that Vegas and McLaren? I didn't know. I have to check a little bit later on. I know we're not actually far from Vegas, but as I said right at the very start of the stream, my local knowledge of USA geography is absolutely shocking. Look how dark it's all become. LG lambs don't know the iconic airport. No, I forgot actually how close we were to Las Vegas with this. So speed and 500 feet per minute. Just slowing that descent rate down. The fact I'm still headed down and I can see terrain here concerns me a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be relieved to know we are about to land. Please make sure you are seated with your belts fastened and your trays in the upright position. Please turn off all electronic devices until after landing. Thank you.
So I'm now going to go and activate the approach phase. Let's just go into heading mode before we do that. This is one of the last approaches I want to get messed up. Still going direct to Lindsay, that's fine. We can go back into nav. So I'm just going to level off there. We've got plenty of time. Be interesting to see if the VDEV bricks comes alive. Doesn't always work, sadly. Matthew, you got the pictures of Area 51. I think you shared them, didn't you, in our Discord? Quite cool to see. And there's the... Is it the Colorado River that starts all the way out here? I honestly can't remember. I tell you, I'm shocking. It's the Atlantic. LG Lambs, who remembers the petition to storm Area 51? Yeah, knowing the American military, I wouldn't have thought that would ever have ended well. Imagine living here. Imagine that. It's views like this why we like Microsoft Flight Simulator, isn't it? No CDA for us on this approach. Okay, 500 feet per minute, continuing that descent. And I'm also going to start reducing speed as well. In fact, let's go manage speed. So we're on 6,600 feet by Lakey. From Lakey we're down then to 3,300 feet and we've got 11.3 miles to do it. So we're going to start slowing down and configuring as well. And Alt Star, 6,600 feet. Wait, like I say, until we pass Lakey. And the airport is just around this rock, so we've got a very late turn. Let me just very quickly show you. So we're coming in now, as I say, we've Lindsay to Lakey, we continue straight to Mebede, and then a right hand turn to line us up, and we'll see if the aircraft behaves itself. Barry Bartson, you seem to know a heck of a lot about this area. Are you just reading Wikipedia, or are you from around here? So thankfully the minimums are good. Nice clear day. Looks like another little settlement there, doesn't it? Be kind of nice to take a GA aircraft and fly the full length of the Colorado River. Imagine that. Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can do it. Pilot Pat, good evening to you. Hope you're well. And Schulte, member for 5 months. Fantastic. I've just seen that on my notifications, that's all. Okay, let's set 3,300 feet and head down. Thrust idle open descent. Down we go. Now let's start configuring. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. And I want flaps 2 out by Mert, and also the landing gear. Hey Dark, good evening. How long have you been there, Dark? I apologise if I missed you earlier. I have got a replay running as well, so we can check out. We can check this out in a little bit. Okay, so I'm now going to go flaps 2, speed checked, flaps 2, and continuing to slow down. Just pulling the VS as I need the aircraft to continue to get down to 3,300 feet. Flaps 2, the drag on that's really helping here, so that's good. Dark, you've been there since boarding. Cabin crew just locked you in the galley. Landing gear down. We're now visual with the runway anyway. So from here on in, if anything does go wrong, we'll make a visual approach. And the VDEV brick appears to be coming up. That's nice. Sadly doesn't happen very often. Not sure why. It must be a simulator, a Zobo coding thing rather than the fly-by-wire. So descent angle is 3 degrees. That's bang on, isn't it? Radio altimeter is alive. Okay, FPA 3 degrees. And when we land, I forgot to brief, but we're vacating left. Looks like we're a little below that VDEV, so let's just correct that a little bit. And there's HG just reminding me, 6,300 feet. Set. Flaps 3. Flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin is not yet secured. Let's secure you guys. Cabin now secured for landing.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
Auto thrust speed, go around altitude 6,300 feet. Set ECAM memo, landing no blue. Wind coming in very slightly from the right.
Minimum
There's our minimums.
1,000.
Continue. Okay, so
1,000.
autopilot 1 and 2 off. I have control. That was rather bumpy over that sort of rough, dogged looking terrain just there. Which means I can't just put the bird on 3 degrees and leave it there because it was bumping around all over the place. 500, approach stable. Really is bouncing around. Radio altimeter is obviously jumping around a little bit because of the divots in the terrain below us, which is quite realistic, and I'll show you why in a little bit. Stick with me for the replay afterwards.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
And spoilers deployed. Reverse green. Auto brake doing its job. 70 knots, reverses off. cancel the auto brake. And we'll vacate. We'll not worry too much about parking up, because what I'd like to do is show you the replay of that.
You are reminded to keep all electronic devices switched off until you have entered the airport terminal. If you enjoyed your flight, you can now join the channel as a member and receive extra perks to make your future flights with us more enjoyable. Once again, a reminder that this is a test version of the Airbus A320 and not yet available for download. Please join us in a round of applause for the wonderful FlyByWire developers. Thank you.
So, given that this is a rather minor airfield, I'm going to guess that it's not going to have loads of great scenery. But never mind. Oh, I never put those lights on. Whoopsies. Never mind. Okay, I'm going to leave that there just so we can crack on with the replay of that. So let me just stop the recording. So guys, if you did enjoy that flight, please do hit the like button if you are on your way out. It really does help with the channel statistics, and it's free, of course, and I'd be very, very appreciative if you could. Right, let me load that replay and see how that looked from a few different angles. Whoops. Yeah, okay. Sorry, self-loading cargo passengers. They're screaming a lot. And we get a few weekend warnings as well. Don't worry about that. Funnily enough, what's it showing us? Brakes hot and overspeed. Yeah, don't worry. Let me just put the flaps back up. Okay. So, let's just get it a little further out just before we're starting to come in and approach the airport, just along the river. There we go. Give it a second just for that terrain to load in, and well, then we'll have a look. But once again, FlyByWire proving that they're constantly making improvements all the time, and it's these sort of improvements which, whilst very realistic of course, they're not always they're not massive in terms of for an everyday flight simmer that perhaps isn't wanting to follow the realistic real world procedures and check everything like this. Then yeah, it's I just think it's great the amount of detail that they're putting in. Matthew totally never pulled off a runway only to realise that the landing lights weren't on. Absolutely never done that. And neither has HD. So what I was on about a little bit earlier with regards to the terrain, the radar altimeter was bouncing up and down, wasn't it, giving us fluctuating readings. But if you just check this out, one sec. So that is the real world picture of how the approach should look, and it's here you can see those I don't know, what do you want to call them, divots, rather large divots in the terrain. So quite realistic to see that happening, and I love it when stuff like that happens, because I saw that picture before I did the flight this evening, and I thought, oh, I wonder if, you know, we're going to get some call outs from the RA, if it's going to be done as you'd expect, as per the picture. And that's exactly what happened. Christian, you're off to bed? No problem, mate. Speak to you soon. HD, it's Ripley. Indeed. That's a place in Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, isn't it? Or is it North Derbyshire? No, that's Ripon. Yeah, Viper, what I'm going to do, the beauty of the replay mod is I'm going to rewind it to that point. I'll see if I can try and match up that photo from the angle of the camera. Some of the cautions for this approach were that downdrafts may be encountered on the final approach to this runway. And as I said, I was buffeting away. So, again, quite realistic. There was, or again, I'm just reading from the charts. Visual vertical guidance is provided by PAPIs on the left hand side of the runway. I actually don't recall seeing that. I don't think that was there. Circling to land on this runway is not authorised at night. Yeah, really? With all this terrain? This is quite a light-hearted tune, isn't it? What a way to finish a night. HD, were the puppies on the right? Why did I pick that up? Ooh, electricity pylons as well. Can you see how excited I get by little details? The vast size of the USA, and it's just the long roads that they've got, you must think, crikey, they must have taken years to build. And they stretch for miles. We complain about the M1. Were they not the puppies there? I have to rewind and have a look in a minute. Touching down, sadly without spoilers deploying, but never mind. Excuse me. Okay, let me just quickly rewind. I'm not going to do the full approach again, but just very slightly from the opposite. This is the view, isn't it? I think perhaps if you sat on the right hand side for this approach, you're probably going to get the better view just there. Just going to go a little closer as we come in. HD, the altitude on touch was about 660 feet. Yeah, bob on. And this is the Colorado River then, isn't it? Yeah, which obviously houses things like the Hoover Dam. You have to wonder, how good is this simulator going to get visually with all the scenery updates that they keep doing? Barry, was that the Davies Dam that you were talking about? Ah, right. Gotcha. So after this touchdown, let me see if I can marry up that picture. See what it looks like. Oh no, HD, you're right, they're the Pappies at the right. So I think they've got satellite imagery of Pappies on the left and the physical Pappies on the right. That's a bit strange. HD, yeah, I'm with you. It's very visually impressive. But mind you, I remember Microsoft Flight Sim 95. Right. Let me just come back a little bit. What do we think then, guys? I don't think that is a bad match at all. Oh, let me just resize that. Hang on, so we can get that a little bit bigger for you. So that to that, and perhaps a little bit far away on that picture. That's the sort of stuff that impresses me. I think it's amazing. So there it is. Well guys, I think we can once again successfully say that that fly-by-wire test flight has done and surpassed everything that it said it was going to do. It's the very early stages of sorting out the cabin pressurization, so it's nice to see those little things are there. So I'm going to leave you guys with one big final last replay. I want to say a big thank you to all of you who have joined the stream tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Big thanks to HD as well. Huge thanks to those of you that have donated and contributed to the channel during the flight. And of course to our Easyjetsimpilot channel members who, as always, so much appreciation for what you guys do to help me continue the channel. Really, really do appreciate that. Hope you've had a great night. I shall be back. To be honest with you, I'm not actually sure when I will be back, but it may even be tomorrow. If not, then make sure you hit the notifications and subscribe bell. Make sure you're with us for the next flight. I'll look forward to seeing you all then. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Speak to you soon. Good night.
2,500. 2,500. 1,000. 1,000. 500. 400. 300. 300. 200. 200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.